All right, good morning. Eric Arnold here in the Politics Barn. The wee hours of the morning here on Thursday, August 25th. And the big topic for this morning, of course, is Joe Biden and his $10,000 giveaway. Well, that's kind of a misnomer. More like $500 billion giveaway. $10,000 at a time, of course. Did you get yours? Did you get your $10,000? Did you get it? What? No? No? Oh, yeah, neither did I. So, of course, the $10,000 is being given away to middle class, upper middle class, rich kids who have incurred this debt to go to college and either have not had a chance to pay it off yet, or for whatever reason just haven't paid it off. And it's only the poor kids, it's not the rich kids. Oh, okay, that's just another Democrat lie, of course. Obviously, this money is going to middle to upper middle class to rich people. It's not going to people that didn't go to college. People that never took loans out to go to college to begin with obviously aren't getting paid here. So, believe whatever lie you want here from the Democrats if you're a fool, but clearly this is the poor classes subsidizing the mid to upper classes, obviously. So, and plus this idea that I guess the proposal or what they're going to do is that you only get your 10 grand if you're making 125 or less, or your household's making 250 or less. Okay, let's not get it twisted here. Obviously, a lot of these loans are being backstopped by rich parents. I mean, come on now. I know at least one person I know very well. He's making out like a bandit here because he's got 3 different children or whatever, young adults who owe money, where he's backstopping the loans. In other words, they're not paying it back fast enough. Eventually, he's going to pay it if they don't pay the loan off. If they're going to default on the loan, he's going to pay it off. So, and he doesn't meet these criteria that they're saying. He's making way more than what the criteria is. So, that's a joke. But, we knew this was coming. This is not a surprise. And if it gives you any idea of the modern Democrat Party, there are parts of this Democrat Party that don't think this is enough. This huge, massive giveaway isn't enough. They want more. The NAACP wants more. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, communist travelers like that, they want more. There's no pleasing these people. They'll never stop. Really, this giveaway program, it is the modern Democrat Party to a T. I mean, everything that they stand for is pretty much encompassed in this policy, this giveaway. Let's see, where to start? First, government has to be involved in everything. In other words, why is government giving money out to kids to go to college? Don't banks do that? Isn't that the job of a bank to make a loan? Why is the government involved in this? And then, you think about it, and I guess the answer is that a bank wouldn't be loaning the money for these ridiculous, idiotic degrees that these kids want. In other words, well, Mr. Banker, I'd like $100,000 so I could go to elite college A and get a degree in art history. Oh, well, that's very interesting, Generation Z person. That seems very interesting. Art history, huh? And when you graduate, you're going to do what exactly? And Make what exactly? How are you going to make money? More to the point, how are we getting our $100,000 back? Perhaps we're just simply not going to loan you the money. That would be a normal, rational answer. So, of course, the government can't have that because, well, how dare that bank speak lies to that Generation Zer's truth? He wants to be an art historian, by God. Now, it doesn't matter. He's not going to make a nickel being an art historian. In fact, the world doesn't need any more art historians. But by God, he wants to be one. So he needs the money to do it, and the government's going to make sure he has it. And he promises, of course, though, he will pay it back because he's going to be the most successful art historian ever. So, of course, then the government gets involved. Now, of course, here, this is where, step two of the government and the Democrat policies, it's antithetical to everything and anything we've ever learned as children about America. In other words, we've been taught that do the right thing, yes or no, sir, work hard, try to achieve, do your best, you'll be rewarded. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and you will be rewarded. The Democrats don't believe any of that, not a thing about that. They believe in working the system, lie, cheat, steal to get ahead, stick it to your neighbor every chance you can, take it from him if he's not looking, by subterfuge if you can, by force if possible. They believe all that stuff, and that's what this is. This is the people that work hard have to subsidize the lazy people. It's terrible, but that's communism, and that's what this is. It's simple income redistribution from the achievers, from the workers, handing over to the people that are unsuccessful. Well, you've got to think of the poor, oppressed. Oh, bull fucking shit. The people that are getting these loans, they've had a lot more of them, have had a lot more opportunity than a lot of people that are paying them off. All the rest of us have to pay this off now for these people getting the 10 grand. Don't tell me, it's not your money. It's just coming from what? It's coming from an empty treasury. We're paying for that. How we pay for that is through higher prices and everything. It's inflationary. The Democrats own the inflation issue. If you don't think the Democrats have caused the inflation, you don't have the sense that God gave geese. Democrats have created the inflation, period. They own that issue. They have done it willingly, excitedly. They want to do it. They have done it. It's not a byproduct of something else they're trying to do. They want prices high. It's the only thing that makes any sense because they just keep doing this stuff over and over again. Every time these guys spend any money whatsoever, it raises prices. There's nothing in the treasury but a printing press and a bunch of IOUs. So every time these bastards spend money, which they just can't, I've seen this is going to cost anywhere from $300 to $900 billion to forgive all these loans. Let's just call it $500 billion just for fun, put it right in the middle. That's money we don't have. Money going over to Ukraine, we don't have it. The Build Back Worse bill, money we don't have. Money they just spent on this climate boondoggle, money we don't have. So all that money now is just sloshing around in the economy, pumping up prices, making beef $5 a pound, gas $4 a gallon, electricity through the roof. You're going to pay through the nose to heat your house this winter. Good luck if you're not wearing 4 layers of clothes, because you'll have to keep from freezing to death. And it just keeps going and going and going, and they never stop. They own this issue. They turned off the electricity, or I should say the natural gas, the oil drilling here in this country. It's the first thing they did. So that makes everything cost more because If energy costs more, that goes through everything. It goes through manufacturing, it goes through agriculture, it goes through transportation. All of that stuff costs more because we can't get the cheap energy anymore because they refuse to go get it. Then you have, of course, they made the pandemic last way longer than it ever should have, even though we begged them for our freedom. Hey, this is wrong. This is all stupid. Please let us just live our lives. Let us take our chances. Nope, they wouldn't let us. They just kept their hands on the throat of the people in the economy. And of course, as I predicted, they've caused all sorts of damage, which we're still dealing with. And they own that because they're the ones that wanted to keep the goddamn pandemic going. And then, of course, this spending, which they just keep doing, and they keep doing, and they keep doing. So that's the government in the nutshell with this policy. They fuck up everything they touch. This policy does nothing to address the underlying issue, which is high academic prices. Stupid high academic prices for a college education. This doesn't do anything to address the cost of education. All this does is teach academia that they're too big to fail. All that does is say, well, we can charge whatever we want for a college education because we know damn well that the government will bail these kids out. If they're not making the payments, the government will. We can charge anything. So not only does this policy, is it a illegal, cynical, stupid giveaway that does nothing but raise prices, inflation, keep the inflation high, and force people that had nothing to do with the college education of these Gen Zers. We got to pick up the tab now for this. And it does nothing to address the cost of college. So that's the Democrats in a nutshell. They fuck up everything they touch. But that's their whole goal. Their whole goal is to wreck the country. That is what they are trying to do. If you can't see that, you need to open your eyes. They are trying to wreck the country, and then everyone will come running to them because we'll have to at that point. Well, we don't have a job. We can't heat our homes. We can't fill up our automobiles to get to work. We have no money. I will save you, then the government will say, and then we'll get our Chinese communism, which is what they wanted all along. You know, these people that are getting these loans, I mean, you know, a lot of these kids are, they're ones that go to school and then they run up a degree that's perfectly useful, but then they decide, no, I don't want to be a dentist. I want to make toys. Oh, well, how much money does making toys make? Well, not much. Well, why don't you be a dentist? I don't want to be a dentist. Well, why didn't you discover that before you decided to run up $100,000 in debt to learn how to be a dentist? Well, I needed to find myself. Well, it doesn't change the fact that we just spent $100,000 teaching you how to be a dentist. So do we get that money back? Well, I promise I'll pay it back making toys. And now, of course, the government steps in and says, you don't have to pay that back. You know, now if you think, oh, well, you said 100 and it's only 10 at a time, they're not going to force them to pay it back. This is just as long as Joe Biden's in office, this is just the tip of the iceberg. He's going to forgive more and more and more and more of this debt until ultimately college is going to be free. If you keep putting these Democrats in office, we are going to pay for free college for everybody. Do you have the money to do that? You're talking $10 ground beef, $10 gallons of gas. That is the type of inflationary money that we are going to have to pony up to put free college there for everybody. Why not get free college to go to trade school? You know, how about that? You know, the people that go out and make that hard money, the 20, 30, 40 bucks an hour, 50, 60 bucks an hour, busting your ass standing in water this deep, fixing a fucking hole in a pipe. why does that guy not get any kind of compensation or whatnot? Oh, well, because, of course, that guy's probably not a Democrat. So, you know, it cracks me up that obviously this bribe to the Democrat constituency, most young people are Democrats because, as Churchill said, if you're not a Democrat at 20, you have no heart. If you're not a Republican at 30, you have no brain. And that's very true. So he, of course, these, hug, let's all kumbaya young people that are just ignorant and haven't had life punch them in the face yet. So they're all Democrats. It's possible that, and I think this would be just hilarious, it's possible these guys stab Biden in the back. Because, for one thing, Biden and his cohorts, his liberal governors, they're the ones that locked these people in the basement for months upon months, if not years, taking parts of their lives they're never going to get back. And unless these young people are idiots, which is possible, they know goddamn well there was no chance in the world these people were going to get sick from this virus. There was no reason to lock these people away. There was absolutely no reason. So I'm hoping that maybe they hold a grudge. I certainly do. So if they hold a grudge, I mean, if I were them, I'd take the 10 grand, and when I get in that voting booth, I'd vote Republican. Fuck Joe Biden. That's what I would do. And I think that would be just hilarious if the Gen Zers heel turn and stick it to the Democrats and don't repay the favor. Hey, they're not going to know anyway, right? It's a secret ballot. So they're not going to know if you vote against them. I think it'll be hilarious. Just remember, these are the people that locked you away for no reason whatsoever, you perfectly healthy young Gen Zers. And then the other thing, I was thinking about this. You know, here, think of this scenario. You're in a bar, restaurant, you know, bar/restaurant, and there's a table over there of these Gen Zers, you know, 23, 24, 25-year-olds, and they're just having a good old time. They are going to town. I mean, getting Long Islands here and margaritas there and old fashions and appetizer, entree, and the bill is just going up because, of course, we're in a, you know, hip, ritzy, uptown area. We're not in some hick town. We're in the middle of New York or whatever. So next thing you know, we get the tab and it's like 5 figures. It is huge. And they're looking around going, whoa, that got out of hand fast. I didn't really realize that IPAs were $15 here. Okay, well, now what are we going to do? I don't know if we have enough to pay. And right at that moment, Joe Biden busts through the door with his 87,000 IRS agents armed to the teeth and says, all right, you know what? I don't think that they should have to pay that bill. I think that that's just, I don't think, I like them. They remind me of my son. They're young, stupid, irresponsible. I think that they should not have to pay, so they don't have to pay. I decree. And the owner goes, well, wait a minute. No, you shall be made whole, sir. What I believe is should happen, I'm not going to pick up the tab. I believe all the people here in the restaurant, other than those people at the table over there, should pick the tab up. That's what I believe should happen. So that's what we're going to do, and my friends here from the IRS are going to make sure that they do not have to pay, and all the other people in the restaurant pick up the tab. So I've been thinking about that. So if that happens, and I'm there at the table, and my tab is getting picked up by all the other people at the restaurant, you know, with a gun to their head, forcing them to pick up the tab, who do I thank? Do I thank Joe Biden? Or do I thank all the other people that are picking up the tab? I think I'd thank the people picking up the tab. So maybe, you know, you Gen Zers, who are getting your debt forgiven here, and all the rest of us are paying for it. How about a little gratitude, huh? How about a thank you? How about a thank you to us? Because we really don't want to pay for your meal. We really don't, but we're forced to. So, just a little gratitude. That's all we're asking. For me, the way you can show your gratitude, vote Republican. Vote Republican in the fall. Stick it to Joe Biden. Fuck him. That's the way I would do it. He's the one that locked you kids away in the basement for way longer than it ever should have happened. And you really didn't have a choice but to go along with it, because of the guys with guns and all. So this is your chance to get back at them. Take your 10 grand, put it in your pocket, and stick it to them. That's what I would do. So I don't know. My parents told me to pay my debts. So if they offered me the 10 grand, would I take it? That scenario would never come up because I would have already paid the damn money back. So, oh well, what can you do? I mean, it's illegal. It's totally illegal. It's completely illegal. But what are we going to do about it? I mean, it's nothing new here for these criminal Democrats. It's not the first law they've ignored. Have you checked the border lately? They're obviously ignoring all the border laws. So this is just another law that Joe Biden has decided to ignore. I mean, how would you like it, you moderate Democrats? Well, when I say moderate Democrats, there is no such thing as an elected moderate Democrat. The thing does not exist. It's not even a fairy tale because no one talks about it anyway. It simply doesn't exist. A moderate Democrat would be a voter, a friend, a family member. That would be when I say a moderate Democrat. Elected Democrats are all hardcore commies. Hardcore commies, every last one of them. So that's what you're voting for if you vote Democrat. You're not voting for any kind of moderation or anything like that. Joe Biden said that he would bring the country together. That was the biggest lie since if you like your doctor, you can keep it. Joe Biden's been the most radical president we've ever had. The far leftist president we've ever had. He lied through his teeth when he said he was going to try to unify the country. So that's the Democrat Party right now. Far, hard, commie left. That's what you're voting for when you vote for a Democrat. So I was going somewhere with that, and then I just lost my train of thought. Back to how would you like it? How would you like it if Donald Trump gets back in office and he just singles out whole constituencies and says, you know what? I don't think accountants should pay taxes this year. Or I don't think truck drivers or trucking companies and roofers and landscapers, we're not going to collect taxes for them. They've been taking it on the teeth and we're just not going to do it. Or, he just decides, we're not enforcing ATF rules. I'm going to have the ATF sit around and play pinochle, and that's what we'll do. But they're not going to do anything. They're not going to audit anybody, and they're not going to enforce any rules. Would you like that? Would that upset you? Well, that's what Joe Biden's doing. If you approve of this kind of, go it alone politics, this blatant rule breaking on behalf of the president, where he simply picks out a law and says, I ain't doing that. Where does it say you can do that? It doesn't say that you can do that. Now, one thing that this does do that opens up an opportunity for Trump is this kind of just blatant, I am not going to follow any kind of regulations or laws passed by the Congress. A lot of these laws passed by the Congress gives the executive branch a lot of power to do things. And of course, the Democrats always push it forward. In other words, the Clean Water Act has now given us the power to, shut down the entire economy because it might not be clean enough. That sort of thing. Well, the Republicans could do this the other way now. with this kind of precedent done by the Biden administration, where they're just taking an obvious law that should be followed, that's like loan money out and do something simple like collect money from the people that promised to pay it back. If you're going to now interpret that law as, well, we really don't have to collect that money if we don't want to. Well, what then could the Republicans do? For example, in my old industry, trucking, there's a law that says, well, the secretary can assign a number of hours to limit the drivers to what they can drive per day. Now, this has been a regulation since the Depression, that the drivers are only allowed to drive so many hours. But the law itself says that the secretary may establish a limit to how many hours you can drive. Well, what if the president just looks at that and goes, you know what, I choose not to establish a limit. We're not going to do it. There is no limit. He could do that for all kind of regulations. I mean, if he would do it for the hours of service, for example, he could clean up the supply chain issues in months. Just boom, done, fixed. We're back to normal. I think that'd be worth it. Absolutely worth it. So instead of using the executive power to pay off his friends and do it for evil, which basically is what Biden's doing, Trump could do it for good. He could fix a lot of this mess that the Democrats created with their power grab during the pandemic. He could fix it. He could fix it by just eliminating a lot of these idiotic regulations and just say, yeah, well, the Congress said we could do this, we could do that. We choose not to do this. We're just not doing it. So definitely an opportunity going forward if Trump has the balls to do that sort of thing once he gets back in office. But, in the interim, certainly an illegal action by the Democrats. No, they don't have the power to just give away $500 billion, but they're going to do their best to do it. With any, I cross my fingers and hope that they get it stuck to them, though. That the Gen Zers don't show up for the election because they're not reliable and they don't show up, and everyone else is pissed. And this should piss you off. If this doesn't piss you off, then do you have a pulse? Are you awake? Is there anything that upsets you? I mean, my God, is there anything that upsets you? Because this is really unfair, and it's just right in your face. The Democrats basically telling you, well, if you're not a Democrat, go fuck yourself. As if they haven't said that enough in the last 18 months. We really don't enjoy what Joe Biden's doing, my moderate Democrat friends. We really don't. You people that voted for Biden, you've really fucked things up. You really have. I hope you're happy, because things are much worse. Much worse than they were when Trump was in office. But at any rate, I'm Eric Arnold. I pay my debts. I also believe in free speech. So, we'll talk again.